Legends have shaped our view of the distant past, offering glimpses into the minds of ancient civilizations. Among these, one tale continues to stir fascination and debate: the story of the Anunnaki. Originally part of ancient Mesopotamian religion, the Anunnaki were revered as powerful deities, recorded in the cuneiform tablets of Sumer, the world's first known civilization. These texts speak of divine beings who shaped the earth, judged humanity, and dwelled in realms both celestial and subterranean. The version you're about to hear is a modern reinterpretation, most famously proposed by Zecharia Sitchin. His 20th century reinterpretation reimagines the Anunnaki not as gods, but as extraterrestrials from a distant planet who came to Earth to mine gold and engineer humanity. Though widely dismissed by scholars for its lack of evidence, this theory has gained popularity among conspiracy and ancient alien enthusiasts, blending myth and science fiction into a bold and controversial narrative. Many even present it as truth, which is why I've crafted this version, to help you understand the story of the Anunnaki as told by Sitchin. According to Sitchin's controversial reinterpretation, the story of the Anunnaki begins not in the heavens of spirit, but in the stars themselves, on a lost world called Nibiru, said to orbit the sun in a vast elliptical path every 3,600 years. The coming of the Anunnaki. Long before history was etched into clay tablets or whispered around ancient campfires, a distant world drifted through the outer reaches of our solar system. Its name was Nibiru, a planet cloaked in mystery, locked in a vast, elliptical orbit that took thousands of Earth years to complete. On this planet lived the Anunnaki, an advanced race of long-lived beings, custodians of high technology and remnants of a once great civilization now in decline. Nibiru's golden age had ended. Its atmosphere, once thick and protective, was failing. Cosmic turbulence, solar flares, and ancient cataclysms had battered the skies. The planet was dying, and the countdown to extinction had begun. In urgency, Nibiru's High Council convened. Their salvation hinged on one rare element: gold. Not for currency but for science. Gold could be processed into fine particles, then dispersed into their stratosphere to stabilize the atmospheric shield, reflecting harmful cosmic radiation and restoring climate balance. But Nibiru's gold reserves were nearly gone. The only hope lay beyond, the third planet from the sun. A blue and green orb bursting with oceans, volcanoes, and untapped wealth. Around 445,000 years ago, the Anunnaki launched their expedition. Leading them was Enki, son of King Anu, renowned for his intellect, command of genetic science, and fearless exploration. He piloted the first wave of missions aboard a gleaming skycraft that sliced through the void, navigating the stars to reach this young, untamed Earth. They landed in a fertile region near the confluence of great rivers, a place we now call Mesopotamia. There, the Anunnaki established their forward bases: Eridu, their first operational hub, and Nibiru, a key spaceport linked to their homeworld. Armed with tools far beyond the reach of primitive humanity, they began their task: surveying the land, extracting raw minerals, and isolating Earth's most precious treasure, gold, the element that could heal a dying world. At the heart of the mission were the Igigi, the lower-ranking crew members of the Anunnaki expedition, drafted from their ranks to carry out the harshest labor. They weren't divine. They were extraterrestrial engineers, technicians, and workers, sent to Earth to extract a resource more precious than any gem: gold. They dug into ancient rock, tunneled through searing heat, and hauled tons of ore from the mines. The operation was, at first, a success. Gold shipments flowed steadily from Earth back to Nibiru, their distant homeworld. There, the particles were suspended in their upper atmosphere to patch a decaying ozone layer. For a time, it seemed the mission would save their planet. But time is a predator even spacefarers can't outrun. The mines grew deeper, the labor more grueling. The Igigi, though not mortal, were not immune to fatigue. Their joints throbbed, their circuits strained. Whispers of discontent began to echo through the tunnels. Low at first, then louder, until anger rose like pressure beneath the crust. A rebellion was brewing, and when it broke, it would trigger a chain reaction that would alter Earth's destiny and give rise to a species that had never been meant to exist. Centuries passed. The Igigi, the labor-class extraterrestrials assigned to extraction, had reached their breaking point. One night, beneath Earth's unfamiliar stars, the Igigi revolted. They abandoned their tools. They left the shafts behind. In a coordinated uprising, they marched on the command compound, storming the domain of Enlil, the mission's supreme authority on Earth. Enlil, half-brother to Enki, was rigid and militaristic. He saw the rebellion as mutiny, a betrayal of protocol and order. Where Enki saw complexity and compromise, Enlil saw only insubordination. He demanded the rebellion be crushed and the rebels punished. But before disciplinary action could escalate into an internal civil war among the Anunnaki factions, Enki stepped forward. Enki, commander of science, biology, and Earth-based operations, offered an alternative, a solution not of violence, but of genetic innovation. He proposed the creation of a new workforce, not from Nibiru, not from the Ijiji, but from Earth itself. Let us engineer a being, Enki said, adapted to this world, strong enough to endure its weight, intelligent enough to follow instructions. A hybrid species, built to serve the labor we can no longer sustain. Enlil was skeptical, but desperate. The mission could not proceed without labor. The gold must continue to flow. Nibiru still depended on it, and so the High Council gave Enki permission to proceed. The era of bioengineering had begun. The birth of mankind. Enki turned to the Earth's native hominids, early, wild proto-humans who roamed the plains in tribal bands. They were strong, upright, and resilient, but mentally primitive. They lacked speech, reason, or the neural structure to understand complex tasks. But Enki saw potential. With the help of Ninti, a leading Anunnaki life scientist and medical technician, Enki initiated the planet's first genetic experiment. They harvested genetic material from a deceased Anunnaki worker, one whose neural and muscular profile had been optimal for labor. From this, they extracted the DNA code needed to splice Anunnaki traits into Earth's hominids. Ninti carefully blended this alien genetic essence with that of the hominid embryo. She implanted the hybrid embryo into a specially prepared biological chamber, an artificial womb, or possibly even her own body, according to the methods described in Sitchin's interpretations. The process was far from perfect. Early prototypes were flawed, grotesque hybrids, sterile offspring, cognitive failures. But Enki was persistent. He refined the genome. He recalibrated the neural architecture. And then, at last, a stable being emerged. They called him Adamu, the prototype human. Not a divine creation, but a laboratory breakthrough. A being of Earth and Nibiru, Homo sapiens, genetically engineered to understand, obey, and endure. This new species would become the worker race, designed to mine, build, and maintain the Anunnaki infrastructure on Earth. And so, the age of mankind began, not from dust and breath, but from science and necessity. At first, the humans served exactly as intended. Engineered to be obedient, durable, and adaptable, they toiled in the gold mines of southern Africa, hauled loads across the plains, and maintained agricultural operations to sustain the Anunnaki presence. They were manufactured in batches, cloned or gestated in artificial wombs, under the careful supervision of Ninti, the Anunnaki's chief geneticist. Each prototype improved on the last. For the Anunnaki, it was a turning point. At last, the burden of manual labor had been shifted. But something unexpected occurred. The genetic hybrid created by Enki and Ninti wasn't just functional, it was evolving. Traces of Anunnaki intellect flickered within the human brain. They began to observe, to imitate, to ask. Some showed aptitude for learning. They developed speech, coordination, even abstract thought. Enki, who had always sympathized with Earth's life forms, began to intervene directly. He taught select humans the foundations of civilization, not through divine gifts but through knowledge transfer. He introduced farming techniques, canal construction, and basic laws of settlement. He showed them how to build, organize, and count time. Humanity advanced rapidly. Cities like Eridu, Uruk, and Lagash were established as Anunnaki-administered zones, serving as both outposts and educational centers. Under the guidance of the Anunnaki, humans became managers, scribes, and builders. To maintain control, the Anunnaki established appointed rulers, human leaders who had been genetically enhanced or closely supervised. These kings were not divine, but functioned as administrative proxies, ensuring that human activity served Anunnaki interests. The Great Flood. According to Sitchin, Earth's environment was never stable. The Anunnaki knew that the return of Nibiru, their home planet with its vast elliptical orbit, could cause chaos. Each time Nibiru passed through the inner solar system, its gravitational pull could disrupt planetary balances. Volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and rising sea levels were predictable, if not preventable. On one such approach, around 12,000 years ago, the Anunnaki detected signs of an impending planetary catastrophe. Not a mythic judgment, but a scientifically expected consequence of orbital mechanics. The data was clear. A global flood was imminent, likely triggered by the melting of polar ice and tectonic upheaval. The Anunnaki High Council met to decide. Enlil, who had long viewed mankind as a risky creation, prone to overpopulation, disobedience, and independent thinking, saw the coming flood as an opportunity. He proposed a non-intervention policy. Let the waters come. Do not interfere. Do not warn them, Enlil commanded. No alarms. No shelters. Humanity would be left to perish. But Enki, who had fathered the hybrid race and guided their evolution, refused to accept extinction. Bound by secrecy yet loyal to his creation, he broke the command. Using data models and seismographic readings, Enki identified the safe zones that might survive the deluge. He chose a man named Zayusadra, a high-ranking human with the capacity to understand engineering and logistics. Enki provided him with a blueprint for a submersible vessel, sealed with resin and built from durable materials. It was not a mythic ark, but a calculated survival pod, designed to preserve genetic samples, key species, and enough humans to restart life post-cataclysm. When Nibiru's orbit neared Earth, the gravitational impact triggered the collapse of ice sheets, violent storms, and massive tsunamis. Continents were reshaped. Coastal cities the sea. Only a few outposts survived. Zayusadra's vessel endured the deluge, eventually grounding in the highlands. When the Anunnaki emerged from their orbital shelters or mountaintop bases, they found a transformed world, and surviving humans. Enlil, though initially enraged, eventually accepted the outcome. The human race had passed its first planetary extinction event, not by divine miracle, but through knowledge, preparation, and the rebellion of one alien scientist. The departure and legacy of the Anunnaki. The Great Flood marked the end of an era, not just for Earth but for the Anunnaki. With their mining operations winding down, and the gold quotas met, their mission on Earth was largely complete. The atmosphere of Nibiru, once threatened, had been stabilized with the resources extracted from our world. One by one, the Anunnaki departed. Their ships ascended from hidden spaceports, perhaps Baalbek, perhaps beneath the sands, leaving Earth's orbit to rejoin the distant path of their home planet. Some, like Enlil, returned to Nibiru with mission reports and data archives. Others, like Enki, stayed behind longer, documenting genetic progress, uploading knowledge into stone, and seeding hidden vaults with information only to be unlocked when mankind was ready. And then they were gone, but not without a trace. They left behind ziggurats aligned to the stars, cuneiform tablets encoded with science and law, and cosmic maps carved into stone, clues for those willing to look deeper. The Sumerians remembered them as gods, because no other word existed to describe them. But they were not divine. They were engineers, scientists, and explorers from the stars, terraformers who altered the destiny of an entire species. Mankind survived, adapted, and multiplied. And though the Anunnaki were gone, their fingerprints remained, etched in architecture, myth, language, and DNA. Now, in an age of satellites and particle colliders, the old questions rise again. Who were the Anunnaki? Aliens? Genetic designers? Interstellar pioneers? Their story, once hidden in clay and temple walls, is being rediscovered by modern seekers. And the deeper we dig, the more their presence echoes. Will they return? Or did they simply evolve beyond our detection? Maybe they're watching. Maybe they're waiting. Or maybe they never really left. If this tale sparked your curiosity, let us know in the comments. Were the Anunnaki our creators or our future? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that celestial bell so you never miss another myth that reshapes what we think we know. You've been watching Every Myth TV, where ancient truths are brought to light. Until next time, keep seeking. Throughout history, myths and legends have shaped our view of the distant past, offering glimpses into the minds of ancient civilizations. Among these, one tale continues to stir fascination and debate: the story of the Anunnaki. Originally part of ancient Mesopotamian religion, the Anunnaki were revered as powerful deities, recorded in the cuneiform tablets of Sumer, the world's first known civilization. These texts speak of divine beings who shaped the earth, judged humanity, and dwelled in realms both celestial and subterranean. The version you're about to hear is a modern reinterpretation, most famously proposed by Zecharia Sitchin. His 20th century reinterpretation reimagines the Anunnaki not as gods, but as ancient astronauts, extraterrestrials from a distant planet who came to Earth to mine gold and engineer humanity. Though widely dismissed by scholars for its lack of evidence, this theory has gained popularity among conspiracy theorists and ancient alien enthusiasts, blending myth and science fiction into a bold and controversial narrative. Many even present it as truth, which is why